Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave, the producer, Sir Rick, right here. Friday, good Friday to you. And guess what? Tomorrow's another work day. Us in the real world, we all work 7 days a week. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We've got to go to work. It's not like the trucks just shut down, Drive safe, Dave.
Nope, 7 days a week. They run all the time. That 70 hours applies to any and every day possible.
Wow, every day. We like that part. Hey, listen, we also want to make sure when you're out there driving that you take it easy, you go safe, especially when it gets time on the weekends, because people are starting to get out. The four-wheelers forget about it. They're out of school. It's the weekend. They're going to the beach. They're going on vacation. They have things to do, and you just seem to get in the way.
You are in the way. You're an obstacle on the road. You're not somebody that you share the road with. They're either trying to get around you. You can't go beside you, or they're running in front of you and slamming on the brakes. You're just in the way.
You're in the way, much like Jimbo Fisher was for Saban. And Saban kind of booted him out. Did you hear Fisher go off yesterday?
I did not hear the interview.
Oh my God, no! I mean, just the news around it. He went off. I mean, he didn't open up all the doors that Saban has with all them clauses on his recruiting ways. But he sure turned the knob and kind of just creaked it open right there.
Yeah, you're not. Hey, I used to work for you. You're not the angel you make yourself out to be. There, big guy.
Let me tell you, there's going to be something going on. So can't wait for that game. It's in Alabama too, and I'm telling you, he used the word despicable, Drive safe. Like how many times? 15?
Yes, he used it 15 separate times within the I think 18-minute interview. So
what's it say here? Some people think they're God, Fisher said. Go dig into how God did his deal. You may find out about a guy a lot of things you don't want to know. We built him up to be this czar of football. Go dig into his past or anybody who's ever coached him. It's unbelievable, man. I'm telling you, he turned evil. Saban was just talking, just bringing up a point.
Just talking. And just talking.
Like
that guy's a cheater. And then all of a sudden,
he's out spreading the word is all he is. Talking about the process. And he wasn't trying to call him out. Sound like somebody was guilty. And Fisher took offense to it because when you're guilty, Drive safe, Dave, you know that better than most. You get a little passionate, you get a little defensive because somebody's probably right.
I don't think that's it at all. You've heard the pot calling the kettle black. You've heard that terminology before. Well, I'm telling you, he was standing there going, how is this guy throwing stones in a glass house? How is that possible? And I think he just basically stood up and said, quit throwing stones if you live in a glass house.
All right, hey, Drive safe. We have an interview today. We're going to talk in about 5 or 6 minutes. Before we do that, we've been speaking a lot on the truck driver, the independent contractor, those that are probably in more trouble than others right now. And I want to take a little time because I don't think that anybody's really shown how that looks, shown why they may be in trouble. So, Dave, we're going to go to this right here, and I want you to kind of go with me on this. Producer, let's make sure they can see the screen on this as well. But here we go. Back in May of 2020, you could buy a 3-year-old truck for around $59,900, call it $60,000. That's just what it cost. In May of 2021, a 3-year-old truck now is costing you $82,741. We're going to keep jumping because we saw a lot of changes. In October of 21, a 3-year-old tractor was going to cost you $100,358. We keep talking, and we've talked about record-setting prices for these used trucks, and this is where I'm showing you right now. The peak, there's no doubt about it, was March of this year. And in March of this year, a 3-year-old truck, odds are you're going to pay right at $140,000. That was the used truck price market for the price. And it just is what it is. So I'm going to show why the person that bought back in 2020 isn't in as much trouble as as the independent contractor that probably just bought one in March. I'm going to show you this. So as we look at the tractor price right now, again, $59,000. I put it to a mileage based on 2,350 miles. 2,350 miles. that means that that monthly payment for that tractor, that $59,000 tractor, was 41 cents. If the driver pays himself 60 cents a mile, that's not a lot of money for going out there doing what they're doing. But if they pay themselves 60 cents a mile, and then, Dave, at the time they bought that truck, back in May of 20, fuel was $2.30 a gallon, or 34 cents a mile. We're going to keep looking at that. And at the end of the day, we're estimating the insurance per mile at about 13 cents, saying it's going to cost them $16,000 for that insurance for that truck. Probably realistic, and it could be a little low. 13 cents a mile is what that comes to. And then the maintenance for that 3-year-old truck, remember you're in the peak of that maintenance period now, is at 26 cents a mile. The independent contract, when they went in business in May, because of the rate, was only $1.77. When they went into business, they were making, after all that, around 3 cents a mile. That's their profit. You know, they may have had another expense or two in there, but around 3 cents a mile. And then I'm going to show you, all of a sudden, again, rates went to $3.20, $3.65, $3.33. Fuel went up with it to $5.11 to $5.62 today. But that same independent contractor, I'm going to leave it right here now, today is still making about 58 cents a mile. We talk about the rates. The rate doesn't affect this independent contractor like it does those that went into business after him. And here we go. The guy, the same independent contractor that went into business a year later, is making about 27 cents a mile less than the other person because of the truck. The truck payment went up. And here we go again. We're going to keep going here. The person that went into business in October of last year right now is down to 10 cents a mile profit. When they opened up their business, they killed it. They were making $1.24 a mile. After all those expenses, they were making $1.24 a mile. It just didn't last long. They went to 70 cents, and then today, because of where that fuel is, because of where that, the rates are going down, fuel's going up, it's hitting them twice, 10 cents a mile. And the independent contractor that went into business of March of this year, if you went in as an owner-operator and you bought that 3-year-old truck, again, you can plug your numbers in this thing right here. You bought a truck for $140,000 because the rates were where they were. I'm telling you right now, when you opened up, you were making about 22 cents a mile. That pretty daggum good in what we do on the trucking side. Today, you're losing 38 cents a mile. I don't care what you say. Maybe it's 20 cents a mile. Maybe it's 10 cents a mile. But every mile you run right now, you that just bought in March and overpaid the very peak of everything, you're losing money every mile you run. I'm telling you, around 30, 35, 38 cents, 20 cents, whatever it is. And Dave, I know you're over there, but just talk to me for a second. When you're losing this kind of money, what happens?
You don't take care of the stuff that needs to be taken care of.
You just found, here's 26 cents.
Yep.
You're not spending anymore
on maintenance,
because you got to find 12 more cents. So you're not spending that. And guess what? You're not paying yourself the same amount of money as you were.
Correct.
You took a 12-cent haircut, and your truck's not getting maintained. That's the only way you stay in business.
Yep, and that's you breaking even.
Yeah, now you're hoping everything else is going okay. I'm saying that person is out of business. And Dave, here's the part here that I'm going to say, is that the independent contractor, and I'm going to go show you this real fast, the independent contractor that bought a truck in October of 21, they're 2 months from going out of business. Fuel goes up 10 cents. We can see that happen in 15 cents, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we can easily see that happen in the next 2 months. If fuel goes up 15 cents and rates will go down a little bit more, and if they go to that $2.65 a mile, they're out of business. They're losing 10 cents a mile. They begin to do the same thing. They quit paying the maintenance, and they quit paying themselves as much. The truck at that point just won't get maintained. These guys that just bought a truck this year that went into business, they're going to go out of business right now if things stay where they are and everything says it will. It's just, it's dollars. It's just numbers is all it is. The person that went into business in October of last year, they're right around the corner. Listen, Start doing all you can right now. Align yourself. And I say that because we are at that moment right now where you that bought in October, that bought the middle to the end of last year, you can still find a way to align yourself with a partner. Make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure you're looking at your numbers. These are just numbers I'm saying, but when you plug your numbers in here, it's going to tell you if you're making money, if you're not. Folks, we are in some tough times. Fuel going up, rates going down. It's going to hit a double whammy, Dave, right?
Yep.
It's a double whammy. It's hitting you twice. And what happens and what you don't want to happen, you can't quit taking care of that truck. When you take care of that truck, that's when the snowball begins. We're going to be right back. We have an interview with Dave coming up next in about 60 seconds. This is BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation.
This segment has been brought to you by Utility ProWear. Utility ProWear manufactures high-quality, ANSI-certified, high-visibility apparel for both men and women. Infused with the Teflon fabric protector, Utility ProWear gives you the added benefit of providing a barrier to liquids, dirt, and grime, keeping you cleaner longer, brighter longer, and therefore safer longer. Get your high-visibility apparel by going to utilityproware.com. Use the code BCB20 at checkout for an exclusive discount.
Welcome back to BCB Live, safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave. I know we have the interview, but what do you think about that? I mean, I was looking at those graphs, and I was actually putting those together yesterday, trying to really go and look at it and say, man, when are some of these folks going to start going out of business?
It will be soon.
It will
be
is
soon.
so real, ththese numbers are. As
Yeah.
I was working through those numbers, I could visualize that. Those of you that don't know, we also are involved with trucking as well. We have trucks, 300 of them out there running. We're not just sitting back here reporting numbers that we don't know anything about. I can see and feel these numbers. They are so real.
Yep.
And when you think about the independent contractor, Dave, that began this year. And so if you began in March, you know what, or if you began in February, January, you're right around the corner. You're having the same issues. You bought your truck at a very high rate.
Yep.
Fuel is incredibly high, and it's just going skyrocket, and your rates are going down. And not to mention the insurance, not to mention all of those other things, Dave, that affects them. And that was every one of those trucks, it had a $25,000 down payment in it, by the way. I assumed every truck, they had to put down $25,000, and that payment was only the remaining what was due with no interest. Let me tell you, the bank that I put you with, they were awesome. They love truckers. That showed no interest either.
Yeah, and I looked at it, and we went with a 3-year-old truck, but it didn't matter if you bought a much older truck for less money, your maintenance would go up.
Yes.
Because you'll be going to be maintaining that vehicle. If it had 500 or 600,000 miles, you went out and bought an older truck, guess what? You're going to invest more money on the maintenance side. It
And
may
the
not
fuel.
be
And the fuel.
and
Yep.
you may not see it on the purchase side, but you'll definitely see it on the back end with fuel, and you'll see it with maintenance. So you just imagine those numbers flip-flopping, but it'll be there, and the cost is real.
Yeah, it is real. And Dave, can't think of better time to introduce our new guest.
Dave over at Next Gen. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing all right. Yeah, I hope those numbers didn't scare you or anything like that as you start teaching that next generation of truck drivers. But the numbers are real, and it's it's something that all of the kids and not just the kids, anybody beginning a new business, an owner-operator business, boy, they just have to know their numbers.
Yeah, they have to be aware of the market and how volatile it can be and how it will affect your decisions as you move forward into this business. And whether you're under a company driver or whether you're an owner-operator or you're a you're a lease operator, it just depends on how you're going to manage in the business and what you're intending on doing. But Dave, let's get to you. Let's get to what you do and how exciting what it is you do for what's coming up in the future. And that's really what we're talking about here is the future of trucking, right?
It is. So I'm actually the truck driving instructor and coordinator at Patterson High School, located in Patterson, California. So we launched our program 5 years ago. part of a larger supply chain and logistics management program. So our school actually offers warehousing and forklift certification for our students.
Wow, that's incredibly interesting, knowing that there is other solutions out there than that second business, right? That second deal. So tell us how you got involved in it. I'm interested in your story behind this.
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have?
Let's go. We'll tell you, we'll just shut you off when we're done, so just keep going.
Well, right on. So actually, I started off driving in 1988. And I was never on a path to college. I struggled a lot academically in school. But it was really interesting. Once I went to truck driving school, and I went from being a DF student to an A student, I kind of realized I'm not stupid. I just didn't care in high school. And I see so many young people today that are going through the educational system who plainly just don't care. And it's really kind of our fault because we don't give them anything to care about. So I ended up driving for a while. I used trucking to pay my way through college. And then once I graduated with a business degree, went back into trucking. And I was heading into more of a management position. And that's why I was actually called into teaching. And of all things, I became an elementary school teacher. But I never left trucking. Trucking was always something that stayed with me. I would drive during the summers or on weekends. And then in 2006, I started a nonprofit truck driving school ministry called Faith Logistics. And I would work with people that were coming out of the prison systems, and I would teach them how to drive a truck for free. And we did that for 10 summers until a wonderful organization called the California Air Resource Board. They deemed all of our equipment non-compliant. So in 2016, we dissolved the nonprofit. And that's when I actually brought the idea to Patterson High School. And we've been doing the trucking program here for 5 years.
Hey, talk to us a little bit about that curriculum that you're teaching at Patterson High School.
You know what? The great thing about doing a high school program is that I'm not about flipping seats, right? It's like I have no incentive as far as how many people that go through the program. My goal is that the people that leave the program have the right mindset. They're a good fit for trucking, and they're focused on safety. And so we're able to incorporate a lot of different forms of curriculums that maybe some other truck driving schools, they just don't have the time for. So we take a more of a holistic approach to trucking. We want our students to have long, healthy careers. So we incorporated a program, it's called Work Lead, that teaches the proper way to perform industry-specific body movements to reduce workplace injuries. These are things that no one ever taught me, the proper way to open the hood, enter the trailer, pull the fifth wheel pin. And we want to make sure that, that the students that go through the program don't end up with those workman comp claims. We piloted a new program this year through the Trucking Fitness Company. And this really is about how do you teach somebody how to live healthy on the road? How do you make good, healthy food choices? How do you actually exercise when you don't have access to a gym? And we want our students to have a foundation that they can kind of fall back to once they start driving. And I think this is so meaningful because if you look at some of the numbers regarding health and truck drivers, it's not good. And it's heading the wrong direction. We read that truck drivers have a life expectancy 16 years less than the average American. 86% are considered obese. And we want to make sure our students are actually have a realistic view of what trucking is, but then prepare them so they can have a long, healthy career.
I'm curious, and you talked about it. I think it's fascinating, not only the health of the driver and how to do things other, but I want to go to the students because this is really where I find it most interesting. How are you engaging these students that don't care? How do you create that moment of care in your classroom?
That's a great question, and I didn't realize the impact we were having on students until that first year. And I had a parent that came to me one day after school, and he said, "I'm here to shake your hand." And I'm like, "For what?" And he said, "For saving my son." And I'm like, "I don't understand." And he said, "Well, before my son Javier took your trucking class, he was on a path of self-destruction. He was mixed up in gang violence and drug dealing. And for the first time in his life, in a long time, he feels that he has worth and he has value." And I think what I realize is that what we created here, we're a non-traditional classroom. It's not like somebody comes in every day, they sit at a desk and they're stuck there, and we test them every Friday. This is a very hands-on, interactive class. It's hands-on learning, and then they're able to actually build relationships with people in the trucking industry. So we do, we have a lot of guest speakers that come in. They hear other people's stories, and they can kind of see themselves in someone else, so to speak, and that gives them hope. And so, we have the field trips, the guest speakers, and they just feel. I want them to feel connected to the industry, because that's what makes this industry so great, are the people.
Wow, yeah, you bring up a lot of great points, and I'm going to tell you, just hearing what I've heard so far, Dave, this is actually a segment I could listen to probably for hours. This is a heart and soul of the same thing we do, because I love what you do, because these kids, and I am going to say the kids right now, because they've got to learn how to do it the right way. Last thing we want them to do is to go out and start learning bad habits from companies that maybe aren't as safe or don't do it the right way. It's important that they see it from you, hear it the way it's supposed to happen, so when they go out there in the real world and they don't see the same thing, they leave. They go find a place that cares. And I just love what you're doing out here, because we've got to make sure, no matter what, that these kids, that they don't just go to college. They find their passion in life and create some success in them. Talk to me outside of just truck driving. Do you have simulators as well, or are they just hopping in the truck day one?
No, so our focus is on, we don't do the behind the wheel training here. Our focus is on the entry-level driver train standards. So we teach the theory portion. But we do it with a hands-on perspective. So we do have 2 driving simulators. They're from Advanced Training Systems. And what's great about the simulators is that it's able to break down those skills one at a time. And so when we still teach our students how to shift, even I see we're kind of moving away from that. It's important that these students have that skill set, and I don't want my students to have a restricted license. But it breaks down those skills one at a time. And all those skills are transferable. So when I do put them into that truck for the first time, it's based on muscle memory. And so they're not quite as overwhelmed, and they're able to, it definitely makes for a much safer transition than just taking somebody day one, putting them into a truck.
Do you find that the technology that you provide is a kind of a magnet toward the students? They tend to draw to that a little bit better, more accepting, understanding, and able to deal with some of that new technology as opposed to me getting in there. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Not fresh or new.
Oh, totally. In fact, we do a lot of tours for other schools that come through, and literally, as soon as they walk in the classroom door, it's a magnet, as you said. That's what grabs their attention. But once I get their attention, and we actually use that as a training tool, that's where it really comes into play. And I would never train again without a simulator. There's so much I can do on the simulator that I can't teach in real life. Like, how do you teach somebody how to respond to a front tire blowout? Yeah. That's all based on reaction, not thinking. And if you don't react the right way, you're going to kill yourself or somebody else.
Go ahead, Rick.
I want to hear, and I know it's one of the last questions we had here for you. We don't have to end it here, but I do want to hear your hopes and your aspirations, because, man, everything I'm hearing from you, again, I'm a huge fan already. It's something to me. I hope this is what's going to come out, that you want to take it across the country and open up other schools in other states. But talk to me. Tell me what your vision is for this.
Yeah, so you brought up that word earlier about passion. And right now, the average age of somebody entering into trucking is 38 years old, right? So you kind of think about what's going on in that person's life at the age of 38. Probably a spouse, a house payment, a car payment. So why are they now just picking trucking as a second or third career choice? Well, they hear because you make a lot of money in trucking, right? But I look at it this way. How different would our industry look and feel if people picked trucking as a first career choice? Because when I grew up, the people I looked up to, my uncles that were truck drivers, they had a passion for driving. When I got into trucking, I have a passion for driving. I still have a passion for driving. I went back and drove this last summer, not because I had to, because I wanted to. And I was able to use that money to apply to a nonprofit that we started. So about 2 years ago, I was approached by, her name's Lindsay Trent. She was working for Ryder in Kentucky. And she heard about the program here in Patterson, and she's like, well, what's being done? What's the solution? And we kind of came up with this idea of starting a nonprofit business trade association called the Next Generation in Trucking Association. And what we're trying to do is help kind of unify the industry, so to speak. What we feel is that we have an industry problem, but it deserves an industry solution, right? And if we all kind of start pulling our resources together, what we can do is, number one, start educating young people, because most people going through the educational system today are never exposed to trucking or any vocational trade for that matter. They're kind of on a singular path. They're being told that if you want to be successful, you have to go to college, and that's not true. And so what we want to do is, number one, help educate, and we're actually creating a toolkit that can go out to schools and people in the industry that can actually go into the school systems and teach a one-day class on the trucking industry. And then we want to back that up with opportunities. And that's what we're going to be doing, is actually replicating the Patterson program, the curriculum, so to speak. And so since July, we've already worked with over 55 high schools from across the U.S. that are interested in starting a high school trucking program. And not everyone who signs up to take the trucking class is going to get a Class A license, and that's okay. We want to provide the education part first. And some people, after they take the class, they realize trucking's not a good fit for them, because there is a lot of personal, responsibility, a lot of liability that comes with having a Class A license. And some people, regardless if you're 18 or 40, you're not ready for that. And so, we want to provide those opportunities, though, for people to explore trucking.
I'll tell you what, as you continue to talk to young people and you expose them to a part of the industry, it really exposes them to the entire part of the industry across the board. I mean, and there's so many other jobs within the industry, not just driving a truck. I think it's fascinating because you're creating that environment of knowledge and wealth to go out and make better decisions, or even first-time decisions in this industry. I'll tell you what, you brought up something very important at the first of the interview, and I think it hits home to what we do here at BCB Live, and that's safety. And I'll tell you, the fundamental principle behind our show is to get the word out, the passion for safety, the desire to make it better and to move it forward in this industry for us all, because it can only benefit every single one of us if we do it more and we do it right. I like the idea that when you first came in, you talked about safety. If you would, talk about safety and how important it is in the classroom when it comes to talking about trucking.
It is extremely important, because we need to give them a realistic view of what trucking really is. And so every day we start off with something, we call it our daily updates. What are the top 4 or 5 hot topics in the industry? And some are, tech related, some are more, business related, but a lot of them are based on, accidents that are making national news. And we try to look at those and we start trying to dissect them and find out what's the root cause. And it gives them something to think about, just not only when they're, thinking about becoming a Class A driver, but in their life in general. How do they perceive driving in general when they're out there in their, Class C? We want them to have a better awareness, because sometimes we get in that truck and you're desensitized because it rides so nice, and you got a nice, stereo system, and, it's all the comforts, but really you got 80,000 pounds going down the road at 55 miles per hour, and that's a rolling bomb. And so we just want to give them a realistic view of what is trucking all about, and to make sure that every decision they make is going to have a consequence.
David, when BCB Live, it stands for Be Safe, Communicate, and if you can, be on time. We stress the safety first, the making sure that we're protecting life when we're out there on the road. That's the most important thing we have. Being on time, that's a priority. I also want to take a moment here, because what you're doing, and I'm sure this is part of it, but what you're doing is recruiting at a younger age than what we're doing today. What we as an industry, where we really need to focus in on, and I think you're doing it, is talking to the junior high students, the high school students, introducing them to trucking. Because if we wait until they're 30 or 35 or 28, they don't get it until they're 38 years old. We've got to do a better job of recruiting, much like college sports do the same thing, right?
Yeah, you go out and you get your star players early, right? You go out and you find who you want and who you need. If you're going to be really good at any game or any business, you go early, you find early, you recruit early. And I think you're doing a fantastic job of providing that foundation of recruiting and knowledge of the industry. Man, it's fascinating to know what you're doing.
Love it.
I'm excited about what you're doing across the country.
I want to make sure that you know this, that, you know, if you need help, you want a couple of folks to talk to your students about safety, to get them involved in what we do, we're right here for you. Love, love, love what you're doing. Phenomenal job, Dave.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. And like I say, one of the things we're doing besides that seed planning and is really how do we kind of connect with people who never thought about trucking. So last year I did a pilot program with a company called Job Behaviors. And what this is actually it's called a predictive assessment based on 487 attributes of a professional truck driver. So it's very scientific. So I tested 135 11th graders last year. And anyone who scored at the upper end, I personally contacted. And I basically said this, you know, based on the assessment, you have the attributes, I can give you the skills. And I want to invite you to sign up for the trucking class next year. Because I did that, 35% of the students who are enrolled in the trucking class this year are students who have a 4.0 GPA. So now I have some of the top students in the entire school are now taking a truck driving class, which I think is awesome, right?
Unbelievable.
Now, what's really neat is that they've all come to me this year and they said, hey, Mr. Dine, I'm still on a path to college. And I said, that's fine. That's great. Good for you. But they want to use their Class A license to help pay their way through college. And they said that once they get their degrees in whatever, engineering, computer science management, they want to come back to the industry because now they have a passion for the trucking industry. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great because we just don't want the best person behind the wheel. We want the best people throughout the industry. And what a great way about getting more people to even consider the trucking industry.
Wow, what a great idea and a great way to apply that idea to the kids out there and the people that we're going to make a difference in the future in what we do here. I tell you what, we've run out of time, Dave. If you would, I ask every guest before they leave if they'll state their name, who they're with, and say, hey, and you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Can you do that for me?
I sure will. Hey, this is Dave Dine with Next Generation of Trucking Association, Patterson High School. And I'm watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
All right.
Hey,
Thanks
appreciate you. Great job, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Man, let me tell you, I can honestly, my heart is full right now. That's what we need out here.
Yeah, I got
100% agree with everything they're doing.
Got a man
that
crush.
Needs to happen across the country. Get the folks involved. Talk about logistics, and he's right on. It's not just about driving the truck. There's a lot of things in transportation, in logistics, aside from just the driving part.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to grow. I mean, people are still going to need their stuff. I mean, we all get that, right? And as we get more and more people and more stuff, it's got to move around.
Dave, if you would have had that assessment years and years and years ago, you could have saved 3 weeks of college. You could have saved 3 weeks of college tuition. Hey, we're coming right back. We got Double Check Dale next with a little weather on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
This segment has been brought to you by Utility ProWear. Utility ProWear manufactures high-quality, ANSI-certified, high-visibility apparel for both men and women. Infused with the Teflon fabric protector, Utility ProWear affords the wearer durable clothing with a great fit to afford the highest degree of safety. Get your high-visibility apparel by going to utilityproware.com. Use the code BCB20 at checkout for an exclusive discount. This segment has been brought to you by Utility ProWear. Utility ProWear manufactures high-quality, ANSI-certified, high-visibility apparel for both men and women. Infused with the Teflon fabric protector, Utility ProWear gives you the added benefit of providing a barrier to liquids, dirt, and grime, keeping you cleaner longer, brighter longer, and therefore safer longer. Get your high visibility apparel by going to utilityproware.com. Use the code BCB20 at checkout for an exclusive discount.
Hey, good morning. Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. You got Double Check Dale out here in front of the camera. little bit of technical difficulties with our big screen this morning, so we're going to just talk a little bit about what's going on in the weather and talk a little bit about some fires. Right now, there's some current thunderstorms are going through the Columbus, Ohio area. Some of those storms are going to be lingering. They're going to be severe, develop a little bit later. There are going to be a lot of high winds with that, the possibility of some tornadoes, and they're going to shift a little bit to the east into Pennsylvania. But Pennsylvania, Ohio is going to see a lot of precipitation today. Florida is going to see a lot of precipitation with some storms going on there. Later in the afternoon, we're going to see some storms starting down around the Texas-Mexico border, stretching all the way up into New Mexico or all the way up through Texas and Oklahoma, parts of Kansas, and gets up into that upper Midwest. As we look at the winds today, right now we're doing pretty decent, but later in the afternoon, we're going to see some very, very strong winds in Oklahoma, Arkansas, eastern Texas, Missouri, and parts of Tennessee. And where those winds pick up this afternoon or later today, that's where those thunderstorms are following a little bit later, and so be aware of what's going on there. Currently, we have some pretty big fires going on in New Mexico, and so it's really along that I-25 corridor in New Mexico, north of Albuquerque. You get up around Santa Fe, there's a big fire up there that's only 40% contained, and then you get up around Membris, New Mexico. 56,000 acres have been scorched up there with 0% of that fire contained. That's right off I-25. And so don't drive through smoke. Fire consumes and everything. Another big one is around Santa Clara, New Mexico. Over 90,000 acres have been burnt there. Zero containment there. So be very, very cautious if you're going up I-25 north of Albuquerque in New Mexico, because there are a lot of fires, lots of smoke going on there. And with that, we're going to take a short break, and we'll come back and talk some safety.
This segment has been brought to you by Utility ProWear. Utility ProWear manufactures high-quality, ANSI-certified, high-visibility apparel for both men and women. Infused with the Teflon fabric protector, Utility ProWear gives you the added benefit of providing a barrier to liquids, dirt, and grime, keeping you cleaner longer, brighter longer, and therefore safer longer. Get your high visibility apparel by going to utilityprowear.com. Use the code BCB20 at checkout for an exclusive discount.
Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nail. Safest,
Wow.
the safest
Wow,
station
that's great.
in the nail.
He
Yeah,
nailed it.
woo-hoo,
He nailed it.
Man, what was I thinking on that? The safest station in the nail?
We're going to get Dave back on. He does it right.
You know what? The safest station in the nation, in case you didn't know that, Dale. There you go. That's where I was going. Dale, what did you think about about Dave, our interview today?
Oh, what a great interview. I mean, because that's really we got to start with the younger generation, get them interested in it, get them going, let them know what it is. I liked his insight about, the testing, the aptitude, and looking at that and reaching out to them in person and get them to go. I thought it was great because, they get interested in driving, then go to college, and then get back in the industry, because they said there's so much more than just driving in this industry. So, great interview, great guy.
Yeah, I like the way he did his recruiting. He was doing recruiting right. It's a lot of similarities between him and Saban is what I saw on his recruiting style.
I was thinking he was going to get more first-class recruiters, and that would have to be, Fisher, right? To get first class.
Yeah, I
It's just ranking, just numbers.
It is what it is. However you get it, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you win, how you win the game. It just matters if you win the game. All right, so we're in DOT road check week. Is it coming to an end today, or when's that happen?
It's over.
Is it over? So they're not looking at us anymore? You're free to run. No DOT. They're all sleeping.
Slow down. The blitz is over.
Yeah, the blitz is over. They're still looking. They still have a job to do and everything. And so, no, they're still out there, Rick. That's this week we've been talking about that, all the different things to look at, and during that, you should always be looking at your paperwork. You should always make sure that your paperwork on your truck and your trailer is up to date. Cab card, insurance card, inspection on that. The other thing to take a look at, hey, when does your driver's license expire? Is your med card current? And because those are things on any level of inspection, those are the things that they're going to look at. So we want to make sure that, your paperwork, your permit book is up to date.
I like to add one other thing, and I think this happens a lot. We get used to going to a customer that we've been to many times, and we know the guy, and we get to the customer, and we do that, and we grab the paperwork from them, and we go out and we go get in look at the paperwork. I mean, I know it's. I mean, look it over.
Seal.
Yeah, look at it. Look it over. Make sure the BOL matches. Make sure the seal is correct. Make sure it's the right trailer number, because a lot of the times you can get confused. 753, you know, whatever the trailer number, you can miss it by one digit. It's very, or transpose two numbers. Make sure they look right. And I'll tell you what, a lot of times I've turned around, looked at it, and then I've turned right back around and said, hey, this isn't the right one. Or hey, are you sure this trailer number's right? Whatever. Oh, wait, you're right. It's a different trailer. You've got to just do yourself a quick favor and take a look at the paperwork before you head out, because you want to know what's right. And that information actually has to be placed on your log.
You know, that's a great tip. You know, other thing, because we've had drivers call in, and, you know, and companies heard it from other companies. Hey, this is a hazmat load, and the carrier's not a hazmat carrier, and so if you don't look at that paperwork, all of a sudden you're going.
It'll
down
be
the
in
road.
the hazmat box on the paperwork. I'm just letting you know there'll be something there, and it will be on the paperwork.
But I mean, you just grab the paperwork, get in the truck, and go, and all of a sudden you
There's
get
a
pulled over,
sheet.
and it's like, oh,
You get another sheet.
So the big value in looking at that paperwork before you're
absolutely.
taking off. So
Dale, what kind of videos we have today?
we got some great videos.
Love some great videos. I love them, love them, love them.
So this first video is titled "Intersections Are Dangerous."
Yeah, I mean,
And
we'll
they are.
start off on this one. And the driver's doing a great job here and everything. You know, gets that green arrow, protected arrow. He starts going through the intersection and everything. It's a single turn lane, folks, but not for that car. It just comes from a straight through lane and makes that left-hand turn in front of the big truck. You know, they just got to practice patience. We talk about, you know, the drivers packing their patience all the time. Four-wheelers have got to understand that, because this turning right in front of a 18-wheeler as we're going through an intersection, just not safe. What do you think, Dave?
That is a me person running that road. They're violating the law. They're not doing it dangerous. You just have to understand you're going to encounter people that don't believe in doing it right the right way. But this driver is doing it, you know, doing everything right.
Yeah, and look,
look how much time
gained. One space, and he's behind an 18-wheeler, so he gained nothing other than taking
Why
an
would you want to
unnecessary
put yourself between two? Why would you want to do that? I mean, did you see? Look how much space he's gained, everybody. I want everybody to see. Wow,
yeah, woohoo!
He's rocking it right there.
I've gained 88 feet. Look how much further I'm ahead.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
All right, so this video is titled "Legal or Not, Just Pack Your Patience."
Yeah, I mean, and again, we talk about patience here all the time, and we're coming up to an intersection in you know, rural road and everything. That's a turn lane for those vehicles there. All we got to do is slow down, pack our patience, 5 seconds, and we don't have to get over off to the side of the road, across that white line, really close to a power pole or whatever. So it's just about pack that patience, slow it down a little bit. We're going to get there, folks. Don't put yourselves in this type of situation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say on this one other than what you just said. It's just, I mean, what if? I mean, what if you get too close? What if you knock the pole down? I mean, just the inconvenience around all of that that's going to happen. Just pack your patience on this. Just think a little bit ahead. You're right. You're 5, 6, 7 seconds at most from that car going forward anyway.
Yeah. You know, and you know, start out legal or not, because, you know, some states it's legal to pass on the shoulder, go across that white line. Really doesn't matter if it's legal or not. You know, what's the safest thing to do here? Safest thing to do is pack your patience, just let that vehicle go on, stay in your lane, stay on the roadway.
I'm going to tell you right now, it's never a good idea for your tires to leave the roadway at any point whatsoever. You never know how soft, what the condition is off of the pavement. You never know. That is not, you never want to do that. You never want to put your steer tire in that position. You never know exactly how soft that will be.
Next, we've got a video titled 5 Under and a Road Check.
You know, I like this one. We're out on a big road and everything, and if we watch this, we got one of those radars coming up telling us what our speed limit is. Speed limit 65, trucks doing 60. Oh, and by the way, did you know there's a road check going on? They're warning you. You know, we talked about it all week long out there. Even on the roadways, they were letting drivers know, hey, there's a road check. Come on, be prepared for it. Do the right thing. Drivers, great job here being under the speed limit there.
Yeah, and I like this because I do like the fact that they put it out there about a road check, because that do get backed up, right? And they do hang out into the roadway, and it does cause some jam, and it does cause a little bit of confusion. Good stuff going on here.
We got too close.
Yep. You know, so
close
when we
back
say
where
too
you're
close on this one, what is it? It's following distance. Hey, we just have to back off. There is really no out here. You really change lanes, you're right in the same situation. Tailgate, you have no out here. Pack your patience. Slow down. Increase that space. Own that space in front of you. And I mean, that's Jersey wall over to the left. I mean, just no place to go.
It's a habit, and we've got to cure these habits. That's why we show the videos, so you can see how close you really are, and listen, you count it. You've got to do something to help yourself, remind yourself to get to increase that space. It's something you just have to do. We show the videos again so you can watch and learn and then apply it to your own driving, making your safe a little safer, not just for you but for others.
Yeah.
You can't watch this. I mean, you can't watch this and truly believe that you're at a good following distance. Any driver that looks at this will understand exactly the reason we accepted this video and wanted to show it is that you're too close to any vehicle right here in any lane. You shouldn't be with this close to any of them. And so whatever lane you choose or whatever you're at, you need to back away from this position. I never like running that close to somebody side by side anyway, especially like a utility truck or the vehicles in the front. I do like the one guy, the one in front of the tractor here is the only one that's running a proper distance. And the minute somebody pulls in front of them, they back off. So what we want to make sure that we are running a good distance from everybody at all the times. Control that space right in front of you.
We got one last video titled "Rolling, Rolling, Rolling" on a stop sign.
Yeah, so we talk about this a lot. This is probably not a high traffic area. Stop sign is still there. It still means stop. I mean, 7 miles an hour roll through it. Got to stop. Got to look both ways. Got to make sure nothing's popping out. A pedestrian, bicyclist, another vehicle. Plus, stop signs mean stop. It is the law.
Again, another video that you can watch and know nobody stopped, right? I mean, if this was your video, you're watching it right now, you can't argue and say, no, I stopped. I mean, you didn't stop. You went slow. I get it, but you know what? Law's the law. We must obey them because, once again, they're there for a reason. You just have to stop. And Dave, to your point as well, I want to go back to that because you said it a couple days ago. I mean, if you stop right here, I mean, how much time have you lost?
Nothing.
You
haven't lost anything. And what you've done is not only are you following the rules, you're creating a genuinely good habit, and that you'll stop at all stop signs. I'll tell you, if you'll roll this one, you'll roll one where you're not supposed to, and you may create an accident. But if you stop at every single one of them, you'll create that positive, good working habit of being safe out there all the time. I know it seems crazy. Oh, there was nobody around. I was good.
Yeah, it's middle of the night, so yeah,
but I'm telling you, it's a good working habit to always do it right. I mean, you don't crowd. I mean, if you're going to do things right, do them right all the time.
Yeah, it's like that following distance. Underlying theme this morning is really pack your patience. I mean, 4 out of the 5 were really about patience, whether it's that four-wheeler turning in front because he's in a hurry or a following too close, or not wanting to stop for a stop sign because we think we're gaining so much time. It's just about that patience. And if we do that, it's a lot less stressful.
All right, drive safe. You want to close out with a prayer?
Yeah, dear Heavenly Father, we gather before you today to ask for your grace in all things. Father, we appreciate and we want to say thank you for the people that are going out and making a difference in this industry. We ask that we all have that ability today to move forward and do what we can to make this a better place for all, a great place for all, and a place where everyone would like to be. Father, we also ask that you protect our drivers out there each and every day and place your hand upon the wheel. We ask that you keep them safe, watch out for them, and you keep us all in a great and positive mindset today as we move forward through the day. We ask all these things in your name, we pray. Amen.
Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday morning, 7 o'clock, bright and early on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Talk to you later.